Galaxy S26, a sneak peek at Samsung's next move. Samsung hasn't really said much about the Galaxy S26 yet. There's no dramatic teaser campaign, no big claims about reinventing the smartphone, and no clear narrative about what this phone is supposed to represent. And honestly, that silence is kind of interesting. Because after the Galaxy S25, expectations are in a strange place. Not disappointed, not excited, just cautious. Samsung didn't mess anything up, but it also didn't give us that moment where you pick the phone up and immediately feel like something has changed, and when you're paying flagship prices, pretty good doesn't quite hit the same way anymore. So today, I want to take a calm, grounded look at the Galaxy S26. This isn't about hype or pretending leaks are facts. It's about looking at Samsung's patterns, what we already know they're capable of delivering, what we reasonably expect them to improve, and what really needs to be corrected after the S25 if this phone is going to feel meaningful. Think of this as a sneak peek, not a verdict. Just an honest look at where the Galaxy S26 could land and where it really needs to. Welcome back to Ace Tech Detective. If you're new here, this channel is about cutting through the noise. No sponsor scripts, no brand loyalty, and no pretending a spec bump is a revolution. Just real-world tech conversations once the excitement wears off. And the Galaxy S26 is exactly the kind of phone that deserves that approach. The Galaxy S lineup used to be about bold moves. New designs, clear jumps in camera quality, features that made last year's phone feel immediately dated. Over the past few generations, Samsung has shifted toward refinement, and refinement is good until it becomes predictable. The S26 is important because it's not just another iteration. It's Samsung's chance to show that refinement doesn't mean stagnation, that they can still surprise us without resorting to gimmicks. Design-wise, Samsung is almost certainly going to play it safe. We're not getting a radical redesign, and honestly, that's fine. The current aesthetic works. The clean lines, premium materials, and minimalist camera layout have aged well. What I'm really hoping for isn't a visual overhaul, but a physical one. The S25 wasn't uncomfortable, but it also wasn't invisible. A slight reduction in weight, better balance, and improved ergonomics would make a bigger difference than a new color ever could. This is the kind of refinement that matters after a year of daily use, not just in the first week. Samsung also needs to revisit finishes. Matte glass is nice, but grip and fingerprint resistance still feel like afterthoughts. At this price point, the phone shouldn't feel slippery 5 minutes after you take it out of the box. Now let's talk about the display, because this is one area where Samsung almost never disappoints. The S26 will almost certainly have one of the best smartphone displays on the market. Brighter, smoother, and more efficient. That's just Samsung being Samsung. But the question isn't whether the display will be good, it's whether Samsung uses that advantage meaningfully. Higher peak brightness is great, but what really matters is consistency. Outdoor visibility, reduced eye strain, and adaptive refresh rates that actually scale down when you're not doing anything demanding. The S25's display was excellent, but it wasn't noticeably better than the S24's for most people. The S26 needs to be the phone where you notice the improvement without having to look for it. Performance is where expectations start to split. On paper, the Galaxy S26 is expected to get a next-generation Snapdragon chip, and raw performance numbers will probably look impressive. Faster CPU, stronger GPU, better AI acceleration, all the usual stuff. But Samsung's challenge isn't peak performance. It's sustained performance. The S25 was fast, but under long gaming sessions or heavy multitasking, thermal management still held it back. Power without consistency doesn't mean much. What people actually want is a phone that feels just as smooth after 40 minutes as it did after 4. If Samsung gets this right on the S26, it won't be because benchmarks went up. It'll be because the phone feels calm under pressure. No sudden heat spikes, no aggressive throttling, just steady, predictable performance. Battery life ties directly into that. Samsung has made improvements, but battery confidence still isn't where it should be. The S26 doesn't need a massive battery, it needs smarter efficiency, better power management, more aggressive background optimization, and displays that don't drain energy unnecessarily. People don't want to think about battery life, they want to trust it. And that's where Samsung still has work to do. Camera, another area where Samsung technically excels, but sometimes overprocesses. The S25 cameras were sharp, detailed, and versatile, but consistency wasn't always there. Skin tones could vary, HDR could feel heavy-handed, and low-light shots sometimes prioritize brightness over realism. The S26 doesn't need more megapixels, it needs better tuning. What I'm hoping for is a shift toward more natural processing. Cleaner, low-light shots, more accurate colors, and fewer moments where the phone feels like it's trying too hard. Samsung's hardware is already excellent. This is a software problem, not a sensor problem. Video is also an area where Samsung keeps getting closer but hasn't fully caught up to Apple. Stabilization, color consistency, and reliability matter more than flashy modes. The S26 needs to feel like a camera you can trust without second-guessing settings. Software is where opinions really divide. The One UI is polished, feature-rich, and powerful, but it can also feel busy. Samsung loves adding features, but not everyone wants to manage them. The S26 should focus less on adding and more on refining what's already there. AI is going to be a big talking point, but it needs to be useful, not intrusive. Smarter suggestions, better on-device processing, and features that save time rather than demand attention. Nobody wants a phone that constantly reminds them it's smart. Long-term software support is one area where Samsung deserves credit. Promising extended update cycles is huge, and if Samsung delivers on that with the S26, it makes a real difference for people who keep their phones longer than 2 years. The Galaxy S25's biggest issue wasn't any single flaw. It was the feeling that it played things too safe. The S26 doesn't need to be radical, it just needs to feel deliberate. Tighter performance control. Better camera consistency. More confident battery life, cleaner software decisions. If Samsung nails those, the Galaxy S26 doesn't need to shout. It'll speak for itself. And that's really what I'm watching for. Not specs, not leaks, not hype, but intent. Does this phone feel like Samsung listened? We'll find out soon enough. If you enjoyed this kind of calm, unsponsored tech breakdown, consider subscribing to Ace Tech Detective. Drop a like if this helped you think differently about the Galaxy S26, and let me know in the comments what you actually want Samsung to fix this year. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.